This is Carolyn Matthews' house, an ordinary home in an ordinary suburb. And as darkness falls, with neighbours settling down for dinner, Carolyn's husband Kevin and their 3 sons return from the video store. Carolyn is in the kitchen. But in this, the dead heart of winter, things are not as they should be. Lying in a pool of her own blood, Carolyn has been brutally murdered.
Ambulance emergency.
Yeah, we need an ambulance, quick!
What's the address?
Nimbrocka Avenue, Westlake 4.
What's happened there?
Pardon?
What's happened?
Bleeding, quick!
Is there a lot of bleeding?
Yes, there is! Go help! See him now!
Is she still awake and talking?
No, she's not. There's no pulse!
1, 2, breathe.
What you've just heard is real. The actual 000 call made moments after Kevin and the boys found Carolyn. 13-year-old Shane and 12-year-old Daniel can only watch as their older brother Kenny attempts to resuscitate their mum. But to no avail.
Breathe again.
The boys went into the house first, found their mother lying in that state. The older brother, he commenced CPR.
Will Dad help her?
They're all involved in life-saving.
Again!
In fact, Carolyn had even taught the boys CPR.
Seeing their mother dead on the floor, then trying to revive her, it would have been an absolute horrendous experience for them. It's a horrendous experience for anybody to go in and see that, but for young lads like that, they did a wonderful job to try and save their mum.
It's not clear exactly when Carolyn died. Perhaps she was hanging on while her sons tried to save her life, using techniques she herself had taught them at the local surf lifesaving club. Perhaps she was already gone. What is known for sure is that by the time the police arrived at 6:17, moments before the ambulance crew, blood loss from the 9 stab wounds had proven lethal. Carolyn had been home alone for just 20 minutes. The crime scene is as baffling as it is shocking. A suburban housewife brutally stabbed to death in her own home.
You wonder why a woman such as Carolyn Matthews had been targeted and had been murdered for no apparent reason.
Why? And most importantly, who?
Homicides are generally between men in their mid-30s, alcohol's involved or drugs, a dispute, or something of that nature. People generally who are already known to the police. But what you have here is none of that. What you have is a good suburb with a good family, a good mother, a good wife, and there are a lot of unanswered questions.
And it's the violent nature of the crime and the unlikely profile of the victim that sends terror through the West Lakes community.
Police have stepped up patrols in the area, with many residents now too frightened to be home alone.
You start thinking to yourself, perhaps there's some crazed person out there wandering around. If there is he going to strike again tonight? If so, where?
The Major Crime Investigation Branch is painfully aware the murderer is still on the run. The assailant has killed once and may kill again.
The immediate thought is, well, who's responsible for this? Why has it happened? Are there any risks to the community? And there's some urgency in finding the answers to those questions.
The police, now on the scene in force, put the wheels in motion for a major investigation. With their uniformed colleagues door-knocking and patrolling the area, the detectives cast their eyes closer to home.
In any murder, the immediacy is the preservation and the processing of the crime scene. Whilst that's in hand, the next step is to identify and interview any relevant person.
Kevin and the boys are taken to Port Adelaide Police Station to give witness statements.
Kevin, I want to make it quite clear to you that you are not under arrest for anything, and you're not suspected of any offences.
Yes. I understand.
Now, did you make any calls home today?
Yeah. I rang to say I was on my way home.
We were told that at approximately 5:30, just after 5:30, Kevin Matthews had arranged to pick up his three sons, asked them to be at the front of the house. He was going to take them to the nearby video store for each of them to hire a video for the night. He had pulled up, the boys got in the car.
Come on in. Got from the movie shop. Yeah. You know what you're gonna get? Yeah. Ellen, squish up. All right. Let's go.
Then on to the video shop, where he stayed in the car. The three boys went in and got a tape each, and they returned home roughly some 20 minutes later.
Most crimes are solved within the first 48 hours. The police need answers, and fast. Officers must ask the tough questions to have any chance of catching Carolyn's killer.
Kevin, this is a very difficult question. Have you ever had an affair?
No. But I have been accused of one.
On the night of the murder, when Port Adelaide CIB interviewed Kevin, he was asked lots of things by the detectives to find out whether there's any motive or reason for this, for the attack on Carolyn, like whether they had enemies, whether they've had trouble recently with anyone else, or they owe money, anything along those lines.
He gave the appearance, he spoke to him, he was sobbing and breaking down and that sort of thing. It looked to me like he was, his guy's wife's been murdered. He was pretty upset by it all, yeah.
The facts check out. Security footage from the video store confirms the boys were there at the time of the murder. Police interview Shane. This is his actual witness statement. Officers keep searching for a motive. Why Carolyn? Why the Matthews family?
Now, your mum and dad get on well with the rallies today, or?
Yeah.
They do?
Oh.
There's no feuds anywhere?
No.
Okay. Dad hasn't bought into a business or anything recently? Mum?
No, he got demoted from his job to store manager because...
It's a truism backed by stats that family members commit a large majority of murders. So as a matter of routine, the spouse comes under close scrutiny.
Dad, I mean, that wouldn't have made any financial problems for you guys or anything like that?
No, because he was still getting paid the same.
Oh, so the money didn't change, no? How do they normally get along?
Oh, good.
So there's no major dramas, anything like that, no?
No.
The marriage is generally good?
Yeah.
A happy family and a watertight alibi. It was clear Kevin could not have committed the murder. And that leaves detectives back at square one. They begin by evaluating the crime scene in minute detail.
As I approached the front door, there were some pieces of rubbish strewn around in the vicinity of the front of the door. As you walk in, there was numerous photographs and trophies relating to life-saving, which obviously the family had won at some stage of their lives. And then we go into the kitchen, and that's what actually the scene was.
The crime scene was, in its own right, evidence of a struggle, evidence of Carolyn moving after being injured, and as more details became available, it was a scene of where she tried to defend herself and used everything within her means to defend herself. And what that brings to mind is a person that's fighting to her death. The crime scene certainly supported that scenario, and that is something that we've got to remember, that the children were the first ones to see that scene. And I don't think it's anything that the investigators can forget, and certainly not the children.
There was just blood everywhere, like pools of blood all over the floor. There's blood squirts all over the walls and all over the ceiling, and it's just hard to comprehend how much blood there was. It's really difficult to see. Yeah, something that I'll never ever forget, anyway.
The forensic experts take DNA samples and scour every inch of the Matthews home for clues. And the first big step towards finding Carolyn's killer comes in the form of a boot print in the blood.
A significant piece of evidence. The footprint was quite discernible. You can tell by looking at it. If you found the boot, you would be able to match the boot with that print. It sort of indicated to me they were in a hurry to get out, perhaps. They didn't look around to see, have I left something here? Have I left some fingerprints? Have I left some footprints? Because obviously, if they had seen that, they would have made some effort to get rid of it, I would think.
The print is large, consistent with the sort of boots commonly worn by tradesmen. They also find a frying pan. Police suspect Carolyn may have used it to try and defend herself.
I would say her last few minutes would have been horrific. Extreme fear, shock, and probably why? Why is this happening to me?
And out on the front lawn, 3 20-centimetre knives, placed side by side with a strange, almost ritualistic neatness. Shane was the first to see them.
As I was waiting in the front, in the middle yard of the house, I looked underneath a rose bush and found 3 knives under there, blood-stained and whatnot, and I asked the police officer who I was standing next to, I said, oh, did you want me to grab them and, you know, grab them for you just so, yeah. And he said, no, just leave them there and yeah. So I think that sort of widened up the crime scene.
One of the knives in particular had what appeared to be blood on it. So we could fairly well assume that it was the murder weapon. And we established later that night, or early the next day, that the knives actually came from the kitchen, from Carolyn's own kitchen. So it indicated that whoever did this didn't come armed with a weapon.
Robbery is still a motive being pursued by police. Detectives say one theory is a bungled housebreak. The victim's husband has told police nothing was stolen from the Westlake Shore home.
The knives, more than anything, add weight to the emerging theory that this may have been a robbery gone wrong. And then there was this, Kevin's statement from the night of the murder.
Kevin, has your house ever been broken into?
Yes.
How long ago?
Perhaps the same burglar saw the kids and Kevin leave and thought the house was empty. The unarmed intruder, startled by Carolyn, simply grabs the nearest weapon to hand. Detectives present at the post-mortem hope Carolyn can tell them more.
The post-mortem was long. We took most of the rest of the night. I can remember walking out and it was 7:30 in the morning. The sun was up and shining. That's how long we'd been in there. And you could see that a number of the blows have been, stab wounds have been delivered with substantial force by the depth of penetration of the wounds. She had a stab wound that was into her heart and one into her lungs. Her lungs collapsed and that's what she died from. And she bled internally, massively.
Again! Up!
There was nothing more the boys could have done to save their mother.
Please hurry.
The detectives finished their investigations of the home early yesterday afternoon and returned the premises to the grief-stricken family at about 5 o'clock. The father and his 3 boys were too distraught to make a public plea on camera.
Carolyn inspired devotion from those around her. She was a busy mother, loving daughter and loyal friend. She had her own small sewing business and was a lifelong active member of the local surf lifesaving club.
She coached, probably 20 kids, 25 kids maybe. So yeah, in various different teams. So on that occasion, I guess it's, yeah, the teams that she was coaching did fairly successfully and yeah, then the medals show that, so.
And it was on the beach, at the club, that Carolyn and Kevin became childhood sweethearts. This heart-rending photo taken when they were in their teens.
Carolyn, with this ring, I wed you, with all that I am.
The young couple proclaim their love to the world forever, joyous and hopeful. But ultimately, seen through the eyes of hindsight, a tragedy in waiting. With the investigation stalled and DNA testing revealing no new evidence, detectives turn to the public for help.
An appeal for information has already led to over a dozen phone calls to police. Detectives remain confident that someone holds the vital information they need to help catch the killer.
And from one of those calls comes the explosive allegation: Kevin is having an affair.
Mark Dufree's entire history should be examined.
He could take a piece of paper and make a key out of it. He'd get out of anything.
He was in the worst wing.
Lived in total darkness in a small cell.
Do I seem crazy?
You say I am the murderer. Yet kill me in my sleep. 'Twas you who loosed the dogs of war and set in flame our keep. Hide behind that policeman's badge and grip your judge's hand. I'll hunt you down and cut you up. We'll see whose judgment stands.
If you're digging surviving a zombie apocalypse, step into a world where a corporate caused the monster virus in Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. Escape to the dark corners of Victorian London for a new look at infamous villains in the acclaimed Penny Dreadful. Or give yourself goosebumps with the chilling chapters of American Horror Story. Thrills from the very beginning for you here on Foxtel.
With our new season sale now on, it's the perfect time to treat yourself to a Luxaflex lifestyle. Save 20% off our polysatin shutters, sun rain awnings, and silhouette shadings. Roller blinds, our exclusive pirouette shadings, and Evo awnings. Visit your local Luxaflex gallery and discover the Luxaflex difference today.
Are you facing barriers to getting your university degree? Get your degree online with Deakin University. With more than 160 courses to choose from, Deakin University's Cloud Campus is your campus without walls.
Luxury Escapes works with the finest hotel brands in the world to bring you great deals to amazing places. This week, get 7 nights at the Hilton Phuket Arcadia for only $999 for 2 adults, valued at over $3,400. Escape now with daily buffet breakfasts, nightly cocktails, exclusive dining experiences, spa treatments, and more. Family options also available. For the world's best holidays, visit luxuryescapes.com.
Game on! Is that all you got? Yeehaw! Coming through.
Never underestimate the power of Energizer, the world's longest-lasting AA battery.
As a business owner, focusing on the day-to-day challenges while keeping an eye on the bigger picture isn't always easy. With your online banking data and our new insights tool, Daily IQ, we can help you discover and track performance trends or how you stack up against the competition, so you can see more opportunities around you. Can you get daily insights from your online business banking? With CommBank, you can.
Banana Boat protects in all kinds of conditions, like the ocean, the sun, in the pool, and even 40-degree heat. Protects in 7 conditions. We've got you covered.
When it's time to sell, choose the place with more than twice the visits of any other property site. Australia's #1 place for property. This is the place. realestate.com.au.
As a new mum, I'm dealing with a lot of new stains, including baby food. So I'm using Vanish Gold. Simply mix it up and apply it straight onto my stain. Add a lid of the Vanish Gold on top of the detergent, and it was easy.
You know how it is with kids, stains, stains and more stains. This one, blackcurrant juice. My solution, Vanish Gold. Soak in the water and pop it into the washing machine. Take a look for yourself. Can you see a stain?
It is a land of magic and wonder, worth cherishing in every way.
Where are we?
The Mascara. But the closer you get, the more you see the great darkness simmering within.
Or maybe not.
I cannot stand by while innocent lives are lost.
Diana! Wonder Woman. Rent now in our store.
It's been 2 days since Carolyn Matthews was brutally stabbed to death at her home in Westlake Shore. The affluent outer suburb of Adelaide is in shock as police scour the neighbourhood for clues.
It's not an environment that is known in this state for any type of serious criminality or any type of police attention.
There's an undercurrent of fear. A murderer remains on the run. And all detectives can say for certain is this: judging by the boot print left at the scene, the assailant is most likely male.
We knew that with this one, because we didn't have a lot, that could have been, and it was going to be a long and difficult investigation unless we got some solid information.
Information does arrive. A public appeal for help leads to dozens of calls, most red herrings. However, all of the information is checked and chased, including the sordid allegation that Kevin is having an affair.
It is essential for us to establish whether the information that we received is accurate and correct or not. It may be that it's not accurate. It may be someone trying to disrupt the investigation, or it may be someone just being malicious, in this case against Kevin. But in any event, we had to establish whether the information was correct or not.
Remember this? Kevin's statement from the night of the murder.
Have you ever had an affair?
I was accused, but I didn't.
Can you categorically say that you did not have an affair?
I can categorically say that I did not have an affair.
If the accusation is true, that denial raises more questions than answers.
In the first 48 hours, we do our normal checks. A lot of it is phone records, because phone records can tell you a lot of things, you know, who's contacting who.
Police trawl through Kevin and Carolyn's phone logs. And given the context of the alleged affair, something jumps out at them. For months now, Kevin has made a large number of calls to a recently separated, but still married woman named Michelle Burgess. In itself, it's evidence of nothing. But it's a fresh line of inquiry, and detectives decide to look into Kevin and Michelle's past and present.
We applied for telephone intercept warrants and listening device warrants. So all that does take a considerable amount of hours and work time. But as I say, at least we had some direction there.
And that process begins with painting a portrait of Michelle.
Michelle Burgess seemed to be your typical adult female from the northern suburbs. She seemed to be a typical mother of two. She was separated from her husband.
With Michelle in their sights, it's not long before the team's inquiries and surveillance work pays off. Kevin and Michelle don't just have history, they're clearly still involved.
You know, he might think, well, I'm not going to own up to this because it's morally wrong and my wife's been murdered and I don't want the world to find out about it.
You don't book into a motel at 9:30 in the morning and out at midday because you with another person just because you like to drink tea and biscuits with them.
Within about 3 or 4 days, we believed that Kevin Matthews was having an affair with Michelle Burgess.
A view strengthened after a visit to Michelle's estranged husband, Darren Burgess. Confirming the affair, it was the reason they separated, Darren tells police Michelle ran up a $1,200 phone bill talking to Kevin, and that Kevin gave his wife a gold necklace signed Chook Loves Daffy.
Kevin Matthews was Darren Burgess' boss. Being in bar repairs, everybody knew everybody, and as a result of that, the evidence is that a liaison between Kevin Matthews and Michelle Burgess took place.
In an effort to join the dots, detectives visit the Port Adelaide bow repairs store where Kevin works. A tradesman from across the street who knew Michelle says he saw Kevin and Michelle on the night of the murder in the company of a mysterious third man.
They looked as if they were having an argument inside the premises, and they were all very agitated at the time. And it just happened to be that this person knew Michelle Burgess personally.
It's all very tantalising. But a week into the investigation, and the team's efforts has yielded no evidence of the murderer's identity. Attempting to keep the case in the public eye, and perhaps even wrong-foot the killer, police issue a media statement that they have not ruled out robbery as a motive for the killing. But behind closed doors, detectives have made the significant step of reframing the context of the crime.
On where we might be looking or where we might have to start looking changed from just a random killing to look to me as though this is a personal attack, a frenzied personal attack. Someone wants her dead for whatever reason.
It's hard to imagine anyone would want to harm Carolyn. And on the 19th of July, hundreds of friends, family and neighbours gather to pay their respects.
Remember not the tragedy of the 12th of July 2001, but the beauty of our sister, Carolyn.
I didn't squeeze a tear out at all at any point, probably because I was still in shock and didn't know what to feel.
The size of the crowd, unable to squeeze into the funeral home, is a testimony to the impact Carolyn had on the lives of those around her. Her lifelong friend Kayleen was doing it tough that day.
She was a very, very beautiful person, and that they were very fortunate to have her as their mum. And I still really miss her. And the connections that we had. Yeah, they are fortunate to have had her as their mum. Yeah.
After the service, back at the Matthews family home, and unwilling to let go of her friend just yet, Kayleen and her husband watched the wedding video with Kevin. But what was once beautiful is now chilling.
Carolyn loved lilies. She wanted lilies in her wedding bouquet, which is a bit ironic, the death flower for her wedding bouquet.
Images of his recently murdered wife, young, carefree and happy, proved too much for Kevin.
I've got to get out of here.
What do you mean?
Can't take it anymore. I've got to go.
And as soon as he said that, all the boys just went to bed and shut their doors. My husband and I were sort of just sitting there looking at each other like, what just happened? In the end, when he came back home finally after quite a few phone calls, and I got quite shitty with him because I thought his behaviour was not very good considering the boys had just buried their mother, so to speak. He should have been there for them, and to be off out somewhere, still drinking and just ringing me was just not sort of on. So I got quite abusive in the end, and he finally did come home, and I confronted him about having an affair, and he got quite like, no, I'm not. Why would you even say that? And I said, it's because of your behaviour tonight. I said, you're not acting like you should be. And I said, something's not adding up.
During the service, shoulder to shoulder with his boys, he played the heartbroken, stoic husband. Now, it seems, he's breaking down with grief. Or is he?
Kevin Matthews and Michelle Burgess, after the funeral, continued to communicate with each other.
Here's a man that's should be grieving for his wife and the mother of his boys, and he's having all this contact with this woman and seemed to be more concerned about her well-being than his own sons and wife.
The continued surveillance of Kevin and Michelle, now including a tap on their mobile phones, takes the investigation into strange territory. Kevin likes to be called Chook and Michelle Daffy. But it seems Chook is not the only man in Daffy's life.
We identified a relationship between David Key and Michelle. We had evidence of them together. We had evidence of him living with Michelle at her house.
By extension, David Key is now a person of interest, and his record is very interesting. An ex-crim and drug addict, he's done time for armed robbery.
He was just a small-time criminal from out the northern side of town, northern suburbs. I don't believe he was very well educated. He didn't come across that way. I think he had trouble even reading and writing.
His checkered criminal history and relationship with Michelle is more than enough to pique the team's interest, and they step up surveillance. David Key is on their radar. It's not long before police get the breakthrough they've been waiting for.
We knew that he was going to see Michelle on this particular day. However, as fate would have it, he was intercepted by a uniformed patrol, stopped for traffic offences. He had some outstanding warrants, I believe, and he was apprehended on those traffic matters and warrants and was taken to the Elizabeth Police Station.
Got the evidence from the Keane case here.
Good job. Back at the station, David's personal items, including his boots and wallet, are confiscated and covertly examined.
They seized his boots, which he'd been wearing at the time. They went through his property, through a wallet, and found a sheet of paper that related to Darren Burgess. Had a photo of Darren on it and some particulars of where he lived and his work address and just personal details.
The investigators at the time took a copy of that, placed the original back in the wallet so as not to alert Michelle Burgess or David Key that we had a copy.
Check this out.
It's the content of the note that has even the most seasoned detective shocked. They are looking at a contract to kill Darren Burgess, Michelle's estranged husband.
Dated?
You just don't get contracts for murder written out as eloquently as this one was, with all the details. So you could quickly and safely come to the conclusion that Darren Burgess was going to either have some attempt on his life or be killed if David Key wasn't stopped.
With this information, the police can't risk releasing David back onto the streets. They hold him on the strength of the traffic offences.
Just because David Key was in custody, what I'm saying here didn't mean that the contract had been expired. It hadn't. Not in my view, it hadn't.
Why are you doing this? Just money?
The new groundbreaking series.
Approximately 5 people are reportedly shot.
Coming to crime and investigation.
I gave you multiple commands to stop running. Stop. Police. Got a search warrant, 4 guns. Tell us, please.
He's going after the Bloods.
You think I'm going to jail for something I don't even do? Back in the car! Get back in the car! Let me see your hands! Don't!
The U.S. hit phenomenon.
Hey, show me your hands!
74 in a 40 zone. We ain't gonna tolerate that.
Broadcast live across America.
Let go of the door!
Raw.
Don't you move!
Real. In real time as it happened.
You know where you live? You don't know. Whoa.
You're okay. Just breathe for me.
The most watched unscripted crime series on U.S. cable TV.
I would consider myself a magnet for the wacky.
There's nothing else I need to know about.
I have a boy.
It was too much information.
You didn't announce yourself that you had a gun on you. I'm doing that for my safety, okay?
I'm doing it for your safety.
Oh, yeah. You a big dude. How much you had to drink tonight?
You can't walk, you can't drive.
I can walk. Really?
Yeah.
Unscripted.
I do know martial arts.
And unbelievable. Live PD police Police Patrol. New series weeknights from October 11 only on Crime and Investigation.
I've never seen that. Never seen it.
My way is nature's way.
Be unstoppable. Eat fresher, healthier. Get your sweat on. Get your clothes off. Strong is the new sexy. Stop wishing, start doing with Slim Right. Want to lose weight? No problem. Sub 2 meals for 2 delicious Slim Right shakes. It's that easy. To discover the satisfaction of conquering the zipper challenge on your favourite dress, jeans or boots. Look amazing, feel amazing with Slim Right.
Vodafone have always been there, always provided us with great service.
I'm on a business plan, which I love. The customer service is really good.
We deal with personalised service, and that's what we expect, and that's what we get.
How do you keep your feet so smooth? I moisturise all the time, but it doesn't last. I've got a trick to fix that.
Start with the Scholl Velvet Smooth Express Pedi. It removes hard skin in an instant, helping your moisturiser work even better for smooth, beautiful feet that last for days.
Hey, they look great. Thanks for the tip.
The Scholl Velvet Smooth Express Pedi.
Host Plus has become Australia's #1 performer over 1, 3, 5 and 7 years, making it the #1 fund over the short and long term. It's just delivered an unrivalled 13.2% return on its balanced fund. Host Plus, we go with you.
Every Christmas, we care for thousands of animals across Australia. Become a guardian angel to an animal in need by donating now.
A decadent mint and cookie filling with crisp wafer and velvety chocolate.
Your break is finished.
Has it? Break from the ordinary. New, inspired by Kit Kat Chocolatory.
New Nivea Black and White Fresh Deodorant. Black stays black. White stays white longer. 48 hours protection with a fresh, clean feeling. New Nivea Black and White Fresh.
This is a story about a choice that helped farmers like Umberto earn more money and gave him more free time. And even helped him support his daughter, Andrea, to follow her passion. A few years ago, Nespresso chose to build a community mill here in Jardín, Colombia, to enhance the quality of their Arabica beans and of your coffee. But it ended up improving a whole lot more. I guess we are the choices we make.
Here's a special offer just for our Platinum TV customers. Add Foxtel broadband to your Platinum HD pack, and for just $65 extra a month on a 24-month plan, you can enjoy unlimited data and a free Wi-Fi modem, all with no setup costs. Foxtel broadband is NBN ready. Whenever you are.
When do we start?
Get Foxtel broadband today. Call 131 999 or go online.
The 26th of July, 2001, and police are on the trail of Carolyn Matthews' killer. They have a suspect in custody, David Key, a small-time crim with big-time aspirations.
I just want a lawyer. I don't want to answer anything. I don't need to be here. I don't want to be here. Just get me a lawyer.
In his wallet is a contract to kill Darren Burgess. Incredible as it seems, David Key is a hitman.
That's amazing.
The research that's been conducted into contract killing with the Australian Institute of Criminology described contract killing as where a person wants another person killed through hiring a third party, and the instigator is not present at the murder and takes no part at the scene.
The motives for these murders are horrific and often surprising. They range from amateur suburban slayings and professional underworld hits to vindictive family feuds.
The issue with contract killings and people's understanding of it is it's been, in a sense, romanticised by the Hollywood movies media portrayals of the mafia and Scarface and The Godfather, but in actual fact, the reverse is true, and the category of contract killing is mostly seen in the domestic situation.
So, David, can you tell me who contracted you to kill Darren Burgess?
Listen, Copper, I don't know what you're talking about. I've had enough of these stories, these fairy tales. I've got nothing to say to you anymore.
Michelle Burgess arrives to collect David's personal effects. Unaware, police have confiscated his work boots and photocopied the note in his wallet.
This is a confession.
Police desperately need answers. Who issued the contract and who killed Carolyn Matthews? But Key is refusing to talk. His silence does not help his cause, because on the 2nd of August, the forensics unit has a massive breakthrough with 2 key pieces of evidence.
The detectives, as part of their investigation, came across suspect, Mr. Key, and they seized shoes from him. Those boots then came here to the section, and we then compared those boots with the photographs we'd taken at the crime scene. The boots were examined for blood, because obviously if they've left impressions in blood, we would expect to find some blood on the shoes. What we were able to show that not only did he have blood on his shoes, but the fact that his boots were boot marks were found within the crime scene right next to the deceased.
The tread of David Key's boots matches the print in the blood from the crime scene, and DNA samples on the boots test positive for Carolyn's blood. David Key was at the murder scene.
So at that stage, that was sufficient evidence for what we had to charge Key with the murder of Carolyn Matthews.
If David Key is a hitman, did someone hire him to kill Carolyn?
You've got David Key is arrested on the strength of the circumstances of the murder, the suspicions attached to him, and principally the DNA of Carolyn Matthews on his boots. And what that left was a very clear picture that he was one of the murderers, but certainly not the instigator. There was no connection between David Key and Carolyn Matthews, but there was when you brought in Michelle Burgess.
Michelle Burgess is now a prime suspect. At the time of the murder, she was separated from her husband, living with David, and having an affair with Kevin.
Michelle Burgess seemed to have seemed to have the ability to attract males. She had Kevin wrapped around her finger, then she had David Key. I can't put my finger on it because I can't understand why or how.
Police step up surveillance on Michelle, and during one of Kevin and Michelle's many clandestine meetings, detectives overhear Kevin telling Michelle, "You're going down for it. Too many people know." Could it be murder?
We certainly knew, in my mind, I knew she was definitely involved, but I didn't want to take the risk of arresting her too early and then subsequently losing out down the track, because once you can't try twice and you only ever get one crack at this thing.
To tie Michelle to the murder, detectives need to link her to the contract note, then to David, and then to the crime scene. The team decides to make a move and issue Michelle with a warrant to search her house.
My thoughts of her within probably the first 5 minutes was that she was most definitely involved in the murder of Carolyn Matthews, and that I was going to be lucky enough at some stage to get sufficient evidence to lock her up and charge her with it.
Michelle appears confident.
I haven't done anything wrong. What are you looking for?
But she doesn't know police have a copy of the contract found in David's wallet. Police keep searching. The house search confirms that David had been living with Michelle at the time of the murder. But there's no sign of the contract. What they do find is Michelle's diary. If the writing matches that of the contract, they'll know Michelle is the author. The jigsaw puzzle is slowly coming together. The tradesman from across the street's description of the mysterious third man from the night of the murder matches the identity of David Key.
We had evidence of him living with Michelle at her house. We also had evidence of him being with Michelle at the tyre place on the night of the murder. So once we had the evidence against David, it was then obvious that we were building up a case against Michelle.
2 days after the house search, police get a massive breakthrough. The handwriting in Michelle's diary matches the writing on the contract note. Police are convinced they have enough evidence to arrest Michelle for murder.
It was, I don't know, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We went out there, knocked on the door, and she was told she was under arrest. It came as quite a shock to her. She couldn't believe it.
Michelle Burgess was led to the Adelaide Magistrates Court in handcuffs shortly before midday.
The arrest of Michelle Burgess triggers a media frenzy. Reporters and news crews line the courtroom and witness a macabre twist, a display that, in the minds of detectives, highlights Kevin's involvement in the murder of his wife.
Kevin went to court the day after she was arrested. He had a wide-brimmed, like, cricket hat, white one. He went into the court, sat in the front row, I believe. He rolled the hat up, and it clearly displayed the word forever in black ink. It was written on the hat, the inside of the hat.
Forever, from Chook to Daffy.
It's an indescribable act of stupidity, but it sort of gave you an indication of the world that they were in, their world.
Mr. Matthews, can I just ask why you're in court today? No.
An ordinary suburban father defending the very woman police believe killed his wife. It just doesn't make sense.
There's been speculation, Mr. Matthews, that you may be implicated. Do you want to reassure people that you're not?
The media can smell a rat.
October on Crime and Investigation. Must Watch delivers 3 new powerful documentaries.
Mark has put himself in about as deep a hole as you can get.
I went to prison when I was, 20? I ain't never hurt nobody, and here I am still, huh?
He got screwed over.
How would you feel?
Convicted men and women are sent to prison as punishment, not for punishment.
Tonight, a man is going to be murdered. And she heard her daughter say, "No, Daddy, don't."
This man is a sociopath.
I hate what he did, but that's my dad.
You don't go to the death house for selling dope or stealing cars.
This is the smallest town I've ever seen, and racists are buying up properties here.
Cobb had a vision of bringing the white supremacist movement to life.
It was like a stick of dynamite. You can be a Nazi, but I'm going to make sure the world knows you're a Nazi.
Must Watch, Saturdays at 9:30 this October on Crime and Investigation.
Ryan William Ferguson.
I spent 10 years in prison for a crime I had nothing to do with.
Guilty of murder in the 2nd degree.
I was able to prove my innocence.
So I'm investigating cases where the defendants may have been wrongfully convicted.
I was 14 years old and my mother was murdered. I've been wrongfully convicted of her death.
Will the truth
I'm almost afraid to talk about it.
I don't think we should be here.
set them free?
Reality is, this can happen to you.
Unlocking the Truth, Thursday, 8:30, only on Crime and Investigation.
Bob Jane Team Arts has deals to suit every budget. Up to $100 cash back on a huge range of 4 selected tyres from these quality brands. Buy 3, get 1 free on a large range of Yokohama SUV and 4x4 tyres. And great deals on wheels. Our huge range of alloy wheels starts from just $99. See the latest catalogue or website for our hot deals. At Bob Jane Team Arts, we'll look after you.
Naughty? No. They're Maltesers. Oh, yeah. Maltesers, the lighter way to enjoy chocolate.
Luxury Escapes works with the finest hotel brands in the world to bring you great deals to amazing places. This week, get 7 nights at the Hilton Phuket Arcadia for only $999 for 2 adults, valued at over $3,400.
Escape now with daily buffet breakfasts, nightly cocktails, exclusive dining experiences, spa treatments and more. Family options also available. For the world's best holidays, visit luxuryescapes.com.
At Apia, we know your driving habits have changed, which is why we reward the over 50s with our Drive Less, Pay Less discount. Call Apia for a chat today.
I need to talk to you about illegal downloading because the game's changed. New laws have blocked all major pirate sites. As for the rest, well, hell of a risk. Could end up with viruses, spyware, stolen credit card details, even identity theft. Seems like a high price to pay after all. Or you could just spend a few bucks. Watch it on the big screen. High quality DVD, pay TV or online. Choice is yours.
The Gillette Mark III Turbo still feels better after 10 shaves than a new disposable. Mark III has twice the coatings for a closer shave with zero redness. Get an incredible experience. Shave after shave. Gillette, the best a man can get.
The Australian Marriage Law Postal Survey is now open. This is your chance to have your say on whether Australian law should be changed to allow same-sex couples to marry. Just answer yes or no on the form. Put it in the replied paid envelope and mail it back today. Your response will be completely confidential. If you haven't received your survey form, need a replacement or more information, go to marriagesurvey.abs.gov.au. Authorised by the Australian Bureau of Statistics, Canberra.
Now you can own the #1 animated comedy of the year.
Are you okay? Bella! You guys are so cute.
Includes an all-new mini-movie.
My little brain is going to explode!
Despicable Me 3, new to Blu-ray and DVD at Big W.
Whatever your goal, A&P is here to help. To help you explore, plan, track, and most importantly, realise your goals so you can own a better tomorrow.
The Holden Colorado is for those who need to get away to keep in touch, who play music to keep quiet, know that busy is relaxing and work is play. Holden Colorado, best of both, from only $49,990 drive away.
Who killed Carolyn Matthews? To find out, detectives from the Major Crime Investigation Branch in Adelaide are uncovering a disturbing tale of blood, lust and lies. 3 weeks after the brutal stabbing of Carolyn, both Michelle Burgess and David Key have been arrested and remanded. Police are convinced that Kevin Matthews, Carolyn's husband, initially viewed as a victim, is somehow involved.
Once the evidence started to build up, it painted a much truer picture about Kevin.
There's been speculation, Mr. Matthews, that you may be implicated. Do you want to reassure people that you're not?
In a move that further baffles detectives, Kevin makes an impassioned public plea. He issues a statement in the newspapers, denying his and his boys' involvement, claiming Michelle is innocent, and at the same time declaring, "You just don't know what you've got until you miss it."
Now, you've got to scratch your head and wonder at a guy that would go public and say, the police have arrested the wrong person for the murder of my wife. That suggests, A, that he knows he did do it, and B, perhaps there might have been something between him and the arrested person. Absolutely bizarre to do that. I think by him doing that, and everybody that saw that, and the general feeling around the public was that this bloke's got something to answer for.
But what's the extent of his involvement? Is he just another fly in Michelle's web, or did he take some part in the killing?
It was then a matter of trying to build up the evidence. We had some, but to build it, make it stronger against Kevin. Because Kevin not being at the scene made it a little bit more difficult.
At the time of Carolyn's murder, Kevin and the boys were at a local video store. CCTV footage proves that. And what kind of father would allow his children to discover the body of their murdered mother? To piece it all together, investigators go back through all of the evidence, attempting to reframe the information and get a fresh perspective.
I'd say phone contact between Michelle and Kevin that day indicated something was happening. There was numerous phone calls and SMS messages between the two of them all day long. We know that Michelle and Burgess and David Key left the workplace around about 5:30ish on that night. We also know that Kevin rang from the workplace to his home, to the landline there. That time was recorded. It was shortly after Michelle and David leaving. We know that call was to arrange the boys to be out the front and wait for him when he got home so that he could take him down to the video shop. So it was quite obvious that Kevin has made that call straight after Michelle has left, preparing the boys to get them out of the house for what's about to take place.
The sheer unlikelihood of that neat 20-minute gap. Detectives have no direct evidence that Kevin orchestrated the window of opportunity, but all of the details, including the meeting with David Key and Michelle at Bow Repairs, are adding up to a damning conclusion.
The meeting down at the workplace, within a half an hour of his wife being killed, puts him too close to the incident not to be involved in it.
With Michelle and Key behind bars, fresh evidence is unlikely, so the decision is made to arrest Kevin. Sadly, the boys were there to witness their father being taken away.
When I found out officially that he was involved, it was when Kenny and myself were sitting in the lounge room, and some detectives come to speak to Kevin, and I was speaking to him in the dining room, and then he come in and sort of said he was going down to the police station for a while and that he loves us and whatnot. And sort of Kenny and I joked to each other that, you know, he was probably going to be arrested or something. And yeah, then after he left, the detectives sort of come in and told us that he was arrested and that, yeah, he wasn't going to be coming home anytime soon.
With all three players under arrest, police now have to make the case rock solid.
I felt like we were always pretty good, on good ground with Michelle. There was a lot of evidence there. If we were ever going to lose one, it might have been Kevin.
Detectives believe that David, Michelle and Kevin are responsible. But will they all get what they deserve? Investigators thoroughly sift through the details, tightening and refining the case until they get their reward, a motive. They dig up financial records and discover Kevin has a $100,000 life insurance policy for Carolyn. It was taken out in 1996. Then, indiscretions inside prison mean Key and Burgess are separately heard discussing Kevin's role in the crime. Michelle and David look certain to go down. Kevin's case is not so solid, but on the eve of Key's court appearance, he rolls, pleads guilty, and turns Crown witness.
I would say that David Key knew that there was insurmountable evidence against him in relation to the murder of Carolyn. I would think he saw that his only way to get a lighter sentence would be to plead guilty, assist the police and give evidence against the co-offenders.
Look, I should have told you the truth from the beginning. Instead of sitting around here bullshitting to the two of you. All these fairy tales and lies I've been telling.
When he stepped away from what he had done, I think he realised what had been done to him by Michelle, and that he wasn't the second player in this, he was the third. So I think David Key saw it now as a business, and the business was, how was he going to minimise his jailing and sentencing?
David, did you stab Carolyn Matthews?
Yes, I did.
Part of the deal for a reduced sentence of 20 years was full and frank disclosure and complete cooperation detailing all of the events surrounding Carolyn's murder.
Was Kevin Matthews involved?
Yes, he was.
What emerges is an explosive account of the dirty business of dollars for death.
This murder is categorised as a contract killing on the basis that there are two people who solicit the services of a hitman. Kevin Matthews and Michelle Burgess, they in effect hire David Key to kill Carolyn Matthews.
David, how were you introduced to Michelle Burgess?
One of the mums from the school introduced us, and we met for the first time outside the school. She asked me if
David Key was offered $50,000 for the murder of Carolyn Matthews and then also the murder of Darren Burgess. There was a promise that was made to him that was never delivered, but the $50,000 fee, it was presumed would be part of the proceeds of $100,000 life insurance on Carolyn's life.
Were you having a sexual relationship with Michelle?
Yes. Yes, I was.
Were you living with her?
Yes. I was living with her.
As the interview progresses, several things become apparent.
You know, she let me...
Key is not the big-time hitman the bare facts of his crime would indicate. In fact, it seems that he too has been manipulated by Michelle.
But then she said to me, if you love me, you'll kill her for me. I mean, what's a man meant to do?
To me, he was a pawn that was used by Michelle, and he got what he deserved because he was stupid enough to be sucked in by her and do what she wanted.
And what she wanted was Carolyn killed.
And then she says to me, it has to be done tonight. She told Kevin to go and pick up the kids and take him up to the video store.
As Key corroborates each detail, the case against Kevin strengthens further.
And by the time he and the kids got back, it'll be done.
And the true horror of Carolyn's final few minutes emerges.
When David Key and Michelle Burgess went to murder Carolyn Matthews, they knew that the coast was clear. They had their signal that Carolyn was home alone. They went to the door and David Key held up the contract to Carolyn Matthews and asked her if she was the person.
And that Michelle punched her in the face. And I grabbed her. She was screaming and screaming. I'd scream. What have I done wrong? Who are you? What's going on? Who sent you? All the time, screaming. I dragged her down the hallway.
What did I do? I don't understand.
Shut up. It's none of your business.
Sorry,
Shut your mouth.
I don't know what
Shut your friggin' mouth. What are you doing in there?
Sorry about it. I'm looking for something. Leave me alone. Please let me go. I'm sorry.
Shut up.
I don't understand. Please.
Wait. Just wait.
Please.
You'll see.
Come on, let's do this. Come on, bring her here. Please, no.
You're coming with me.
They corralled her into the kitchen and then the killing began. It was something that you just can't imagine.
She kept screaming at me, do it, do it. It just got too much, and I snapped.
Why this is happening to her, she doesn't know. She's done nothing wrong. And the fear, I mean, she sustained defence wounds, so she's trying to protect herself. She knows what's about to happen. And I don't think there can be anything more scary than that.
Get out! Get out! Fuck! Ah! I got in the car and there was blood all over me, head to toe. So we drove down the beach and I went down the shore, washing it off me and washing every part of my body. I just felt I had to just keep washing and washing and washing. And I remember Michelle, she went up to the phone box and she called Kevin and she told Kevin, it's done. It's done.
The telephone records showed that there was a call made to Kevin Matthews' mobile phone shortly after 6 o'clock that evening, and that the call was only for a duration of about 3 seconds. Long enough for the caller to say, the job's done.
It's a revelation even seasoned officers find difficult to come to terms with. He knew, Kevin knew what his kids would see when they walked in the front door.
I think the act of Kevin Matthews returning to his house with his children, knowing that they would find their mother dead, is an act that cannot be forgiven. In his mind, using the children was a shield to him. This murder was planned. It wasn't a spontaneous act between two people. And every step of that planning, there was an opportunity not to involve the children.
Despite all of Key's answers, a question still remains, the simplest and most profound.
What the hell have I done?
Why?
You could be sidetracked by thinking this was about the relationship between Michelle Burgess and Kevin Matthews. But my view is this was all about greed, and the greed sat with Michelle Burgess and nobody else.
With Key's testimony bolstering their case, police go to court confident. And on the 10th of August 2003, a jury finds Kevin Matthews and Michelle Burgess guilty of murder. Justice Margaret Nyland sentences both Michelle and Kevin to life imprisonment, with a non-parole period of 30 years. David Key's fate was already sealed, 20 years jail for his role in the murder. It's a crime that had more than one victim.
People who do these things don't understand and realise the grief that they cause to not only the person that's been murdered, but to everybody else that's around and close to them.
It upsets me a lot these days is that we, my brothers and I, have never sort of got a chance to become friends with, like, Carolyn or Mum, you know, like I've seen all my mates and all their parents all get along and they, you know, go down to the pub and have a beer with their old man, or, you know, it's not so much like a mother, father, child role. It's, they've created that friendship, I guess. And it's, yeah, I think that, well, I feel something that I've missed out on a lot, and I'm sure she would feel the same, would be, yeah, just having that friendship and not having to scream at us because we've been naughty all the time, you know, just to be able to appreciate our company a lot more, you know.
Carolyn Matthews, devoted mother, celebrated lifesaver, loving daughter, and loyal friend.
I think that he's sort of living in his own little world. He's living, I don't think that he knows that he's done something wrong, I think, but he doesn't want to say that he's actually done it.
From the legendary Ned Kelly to audacious bushranger Ben Hall, enigmatic Captain Moonlight, and the notorious Kenneth brothers. The truths behind the legends. Lawless, the real bushrangers. New series, Tuesday, October 24 on History.
The following program is classified M. It is recommended for viewers 15 years and over. We recommend the use of the parental lock system.
Tell us your name, please.
Bill Ferguson.
And what's your relationship to Ryan?
He's my son. And I'm totally convinced that he is innocent.
On Halloween, October 31st of 2001. Where was I when this guy got killed? I didn't know what I'd done that night. I didn't know if it was memory or if it was a dream. I assumed that if I'd done it, Ryan and I did it to get more money for drinks. I don't really blame people for hearing things and calling the police. I guess I subconsciously wanted to get the story out there.
All right, 911? Uh-huh. This is not emergency, but I got something I really need to fucking say.
Okay.
I know something that went down 2 years ago that I have to fucking say.
Okay.
All right, you know the reporter at the Tribune that was murdered and no one found out who it was?
Uh-huh.
I know what happened and I know the murderer.
Some of the buildings and things have not really changed much since